Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Desktop Ball, the only show where I sit at my desktop and talk ball. Today is, oh geez, what is it? Tuesday, October 22nd, and I've got a full glass of water and I'm ready to riff. I'm ready to roll. We got NFL Week 7 in the books here, and guys, I'm pissed off. I'm truly pissed off. Um, and I'm pissed off for a plethora of reasons. If you know me, you know what teams I root for, and there's plenty of reason to be pissed off in that regard. Um, but let's just start where it makes sense to start. And yeah, I've got the Chargers Cardinals on my left monitor. We'll get to that one when it wraps. Ravens 41, Buccaneers 31. Um, so the Buccaneers jump out to a 10-0 lead, and then the Ravens score. It's 10-7. The Buccaneers are driving, and they're about to take a 17-7 lead. Baker sits in the pocket for what feels like 8 seconds, 10 seconds, a football eternity, and somehow finds the worst possible throw on the field, throws it to the defense. And from there, the game flips on its head, and the Ravens just dominate. Shout out to Derrick Henry, who was phenomenal in this game, averaged over 10 yards per carry, just clearly a monster. And the Ravens are definitely Super Bowl contenders. And, Derrick Henry late in the game, when it gets cold, when people get tired, business decisions get made, and he runs people over. And Lamar was good today. Lamar was very good today. Now that we've got all the Ravens out of the way, let's talk about the just gross negligence by Todd Bowles at the end of that game. And it was kind of fun and it was kind of funny. And if nobody gets hurt, then it's just like, oh, like, he's trying to cover for the betters, or, like, this team's got no quit, this team's got fight, whatever. Instead, you have Mike Evans already left the game with a hamstring, and you have your number one producer for the season, Chris Godwin, get his ankle mangled, like mangled. Um, they obviously they don't show it on the broadcast, so I have to go on Twitter and look. His foot is like on his ankle backwards. It's bad. It was a bad injury. Um, and it's just why you don't do things like that, you know? You had already attempted two onside kicks, so you can't attempt a third. The game's over. And I get it, like you want to cover maybe, or maybe you want to fight and just like be like, this team doesn't quit. Maybe you just want to get more first team reps against the Ravens' very talented defense. Whatever it is, um, the risk of injury probably needs to outweigh it. And what just happened? I'm fresh off this. It was 5 minutes ago. I mean, like just unacceptable, just completely unacceptable. Um, in my opinion, that should be like a fireable offense. If I'm the general manager for this team and I go and get these great players for you to coach, and you put them in harm's way, man, that's hard to get over. That's oh man, that's hard to get over. And just awful. Just awful. And I feel terrible for Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. I hope they both are able to come back and get better and be well. Um, just brutal. And a game that it felt like the Bucks could have won had it not been for the interceptions. I mean, the interceptions were bad. And I know it's crazy because it was 34-10 at one point. So Bucks didn't really have a chance. Um, but momentum wise, the Bucks had everything to open this game, and then the Ravens just claw back, and you just keep pounding the rock with Derrick Henry. Eventually, he's going to break one. He broke many this game, and just was an absolute problem. Oh, man, guys, I'm so upset about that. I'm just so upset about it. My whole vibe is just derailed because it's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. Jaguars 32, Patriots 16. This one was in London, and let's start with the Jaguars. Doug Peterson gets to keep his job. They have a really tough schedule coming up. It's Packers, Eagles, Vikings, Lions, Texans in the next five. So Doug Peterson survives for a week. Um, they got to win a lot of games in a row, I think, for him to not lose this job, and I don't think they have the horses to get it done. I would say he's as good as gone in terms of being the coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. But they get a nice win over the Patriots. Drake May looked good in this game. Drake May continues to look good, actually. This is 2 straight weeks of him playing good football surrounded with an XFL roster just continuing to find a way to play well, which is awesome. It's exciting. I'm a Drake May guy. I'm super high on him. I was high on him pre-draft. I wanted the Giants to trade up to 3 and take him. Couldn't get it done, or whatever happened. I like Malik Neighbors, but I'd rather have Drake May. We'll get to the Giants. Um, but yeah, nice little game. Slept through the first half of this one. Sue me. I don't really care about the 1-5 Patriots against the 1-5 Jaguars. It's just not a game I'm gonna get up for, and sorry. Seahawks 34, Falcons 14. These two teams are pretty similar, honestly, in terms of it feels like they could beat anybody. And it also feels like they could lose to anybody. Questionable quarterback play at times, and then at times phenomenal quarterback play. Fun receivers on both sides of the ball. Kenneth Walker is awesome. Bijan Robinson is awesome. And the Seahawks, as Kirk Cousins likes to say, came into Yo Trap and took over Yo Trap, um, which is a little interesting. Um, Definitely just dominant game by the Seahawks. DK Metcalf, I think, got hurt in this game. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if there's any news on him. Can we pop out his? Oh, I just broke my. Whoa. Sorry, breaking my computer over here. Um, yeah, we don't have to go into the injury report, but a big win for the Seahawks, who are just a roller coaster of a team. They seem like I mean, they can beat any team 30 to 14, but they can also lose 30 to 14. Their defense is questionable, and sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. Offensively, sometimes they're incredible, sometimes they're terrible. Uh, but a nice win over the Falcons on the road. I mean, that's a big one. Both of these teams, I think, are playoff contenders. I think the Falcons have a real chance to win their division, given what just happened to the Buccaneers, in terms of their offensive roster. And I mean, for the Seahawks, they might be in first in this division because aren't the Niners 3-4? Um, standings. Standings really isn't an option here. That's ridiculous. NFL standings. There we go. Yeah, so Seattle leads the NFC West, a division that a lot of people like to think is a really good division, but 4-3 currently leads that division, which is crazy. Definitely not something that I'm used to. And so either of these teams could win their divisions. Probably both are first round exits in the playoffs if they make the playoffs, but uh, both two fun teams definitely. And I like watching these teams play. I thought this one would be closer, and I picked the Falcons in this game, which is a bad pick. Uh, Titans jumped out to a 10-0 lead over the Bills and then fell 34-10. Um, there was a moment where it was like, holy shit, the Titans are going to catch the Bills sleeping, and this is just purely awful, and the Bills are on such a backslide. And then I think the Bills just remembered, like, we are just so much vastly better than the Tennessee Titans, and we're just going to beat them. And they did. Josh Allen continues to protect the football, not throw interceptions. Amari Cooper got a nice touchdown on a play he didn't even know what route to run. Keon Coleman arrived in this game, had a few big catches for few deep catches and some good yards after carry as well. Yards after catch, that is. So pretty exciting for the Bills. I said this team was a receiver away, and I think Amari Cooper's going to play better than that. And then I think Keon Coleman not playing against the best corner, like all of a sudden, Cooper, Coleman, and Shakir. I mean, that's not an awful receiver core. It's probably at least middle of the pack. And you give a guy like Josh Allen middle of the pack receiver core, he's going to be good. They lost to the Texans and the Ravens, right? So definitely a team, in the AFC, like they could lose to the other big dogs in the AFC. But it feels like the AFC is like a 4 or 5 horse race. I mean, the Ravens, the Bills, the Texans, the Chiefs, obviously, And then like who else? Maybe the Bengals are gonna get hot. Uh, Maybe the Dolphins, if Tua comes back, could get hot. Maybe the Jets could get hot. Like I don't know. The AFC feels like it's wide open in terms of wild card, which is really interesting. Speaking of the Bengals, Bengals 21, Browns 14. Um, Start with the Bengals. They finally get a win over the Browns, which they haven't been able to do under Joe Burrow very often, and I think they had a many year streak of not winning in Cleveland. So they get a win in Cleveland finally. Um, that being said, they only scored 21 points against a team that's completely reeling. But you get credit for winning games. Like you win a game, you win a game. For the Browns, we had Deshaun Watson, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, and Jameis Winston all playing this game. It's I think it's the first time since like 2000 or something like that that a team has had three quarterbacks throw 10 passes in a game or something along those lines. Um, Deshaun Watson gets hurt with the season-ending what it was like an Achilles injury. Um, Bad guy, Deshaun Watson, bad guy. I think we all know that. Jameis Winston, I thought had an interesting clip, talking about this is my teammate. He puts in the work. Like it's not cool that the fans were booing him. Whatever. Um, Seems to me that the guy's a multi-time sexual assailant and also just dog shit quarterback. And I think booing a guy like that, I think that's okay. Um, I guess I get it as a teammate saying, it's the guys in your locker room. Like you want to protect the guys in your locker room, but I don't know. I mean, the guy's clearly a total scumbag and not somebody that anybody wants to root for. Didn't expect myself to be doing, social commentary. But I mean, I wouldn't say that this is like some fucking really that debatable thing. Like, if you're defending the 30 plus times sexual assailant, you might be on the wrong side. So I don't know. I guess that's all I really want to say about Deshaun Watson. Hopefully for the rest of my life. Hopefully I will never have to watch him play another snap as a quarterback. I think that's honestly a very real possibility. Um, and I think that would be a good thing for everyone, truly. Uh, Packers 24, Texans 22. Uh, let's start with the Packers. Jordan Love, gunslinger, absolute gunslinger. Um, he learned under Aaron Rodgers, but you can't take the Brett Favre genes out of him. He likes to zip the ball past three defenders' hands and somehow get it to his receivers. Just a few really cool highlight plays of him doing that. Um, so good at a play action. And Josh Jacobs is such a real threat running the ball. Joe Mixon also for the Texans, real threat running the ball. And the Packers have four real weapons in and I know that some of these are sometimes debatable. If you have them in fantasy, you're probably frustrated. But Jaden Reed is a stud. Romeo Dobbs ended up leading the team in receiving this day. Dontavion Wicks is a dog, and Christian Watson at times is absolutely stellar. Sometimes he's the best receiver on the planet. I think those four guys, while it's hard to predict who it's going to be, so maybe you don't like them in fantasy, I think in terms of real football, like the Packers are an absolute problem. Covering those guys is so difficult. And the run game is starting to develop, which helps the play action game. I think the Packers are super for real. And I think the NFC is going to be really exciting. We'll talk about the NFC a bit. For the Texans, um, late game clock management. Super debatable late game clock management. You needed one first down and then to kick the field goal to kill some clock. Uh, Instead, you go run, incomplete pass short of the sticks to not make them waste a timeout. Packers get the ball back, drive down the field, kick the field goal, and at least I was left scratching my head thinking, what are we doing here? On my left monitor here, the Cardinals, I think, just kicked a game-winning field goal. 17-15 Cardinals get the win. So yeah, that was enough on Packers Texans. Let's go up to the Cardinals beat the Chargers to improve to 3-4. Chargers fall to 3-3. I didn't get to watch very much of this game because it was on ESPN Plus. I'm actually I'm actually watching my friend stream it to me in Discord on my left monitor here. Um, just to I think it's so dumb when the NFL puts games behind paywalls like this. Um, but two teams that are just not that good. Cardinals get a nice win, I guess, but neither of these teams are playoff teams most likely unless the Chargers get hot. Kind of felt like a game the Chargers needed. I mean, if the Chargers were 4-2, we'd be saying, these Chargers, they can make a run, look out for them. But tough to win games when the offensive game plan is Cameron Dicker kick 5 field goals. Like you're not going to win that many games that way. So I don't know, just not what you want to see out of the Chargers. And honestly, I'd expect a guy like Jim Harbaugh to find a way to beat this Cardinals team that's just not that good. But they can't get it done, and the stupid ESPN Plus putting the game behind a stupid paywall is ridiculously cringe, and I hate that. Colts 16, Dolphins 10. I thought the Colts were vastly inferior in this game. I thought the Dolphins were like easily going to cruise to a victory, and somehow it just collapsed. The run game was there for the Dolphins all game, and the Colts have a sorry run defense. Jonnu Smith was awesome in this game at tight end. You start with Huntley, you go to who was it? Tim Boyle is his name. And the you, like how is it? What is this like 4 weeks of it now? Like 3 or 4 weeks of it right now, where it's like we knew Tua was injury prone. We knew this was a problem. But maybe maybe somehow we didn't address backup quarterback. Somehow this offense can only run through Tua, and there's like no ability to perform without Tua at quarterback. Fine. Okay, that's fine. But you're telling me that Mike McDaniel as a coach with Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and Devon Achane, you cannot find a way. And you know what? Fucking Jonnu Smith, let's throw him in there if he's going to play this well. With those four guys and Raheem Mostert and Jalen Wright and all the other, offensive speedsters you have out there, with all those guys, you cannot scheme ways for them to get the ball. Tyreek Hill had like 2 touches. Jalen Waddle had 1 touch. You have to get those guys the ball. You have to find a way to get them involved in the game plan in some way. Like like screen pass, jet sweep, slant route. Like you're telling me this dude like we are running real NFL backup quarterbacks out there. They're a top 60 quarterback on the planet, and we can't throw a slant route to Tyreek Hill? Like how is it that we cannot get them the ball? It's ridiculous. For the Colts, another week without Jonathan Taylor, another week of Anthony Richardson being absolutely awful, but you get out with a win. Somehow this team is 4-3. Call that the Joe Flacco effect, I guess. They're gonna find a way, this Colts team, to sneak into the playoffs somehow. Um, which is just ridiculous. I have to leave Discord because people keep leaving and joining and giving me the noise. I hope that doesn't come through on the Zoom. Uh, anyway, the Colts maybe are going to backdoor their way into the playoffs somehow. They get to play the Titans and Jaguars twice each, which is basically 4 free wins. And I mean, they already have 4 wins. Maybe they're going to find a way to sneak in. And Anthony Richardson is not the guy. And Joe Flacco kindly is saying, "Yeah, you guys should probably be playing Anthony Richardson, even though I'm better." And maybe, maybe if they get to 5-3 and Anthony Richardson continues to look bad, do you just go to Joe Flacco and see what you can do? Go into win now mode? Definitely interesting to think about. Lions 31, Vikings 29. This was the game of the week. Felt like an NFC conference championship game. Vikings jump out to a 10-0 lead, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, these Vikings, they are so real. They're going to do it again. I can't believe how good this Vikings team is." And then the Lions just had a monster second quarter, rattle off 21 unanswered, go into halftime up 21-10. And the Vikings, despite their best efforts, Justin Jefferson being an absolute monster, Aaron Jones being a monster, uh, defensive touchdown, the Lions are just too good. They just find a way. And Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery going by Sonic and Knuckles is so sick. I think it's so cool. Jahmyr Gibbs, little little speedster, he's Sonic, and then David Montgomery's gonna ground and pound, and he's Knuckles. I think that's funny, and I think it's cool. I think it's really cool that they wanted to be called that. Amon-Ra St. Brown was awesome in this game. Jared Goff is just quietly playing MVP caliber football. You could probably get him at MVP still for like pretty good odds. Jared Goff MVP odds plus 700, and that was today. You could get Jared Goff at plus 700 to win MVP. I mean, he's playing perfect football. And think about what Jared Goff has gone through. He makes the Super Bowl in LA. Score and keep in mind, in the NFC Championship game, they scored what, like 50 points? That was also the year that they beat the Chiefs like 51-48. Just ridiculous offensive production in that year. But he puts up an absolute stinker against Bill Belichick's Patriots, and they lose like what, 13-10, 13-6, something like that. It was the most boring Super Bowl of my life. But fine, you make a Super Bowl in LA where you were drafted, and under Sean McVay, who's like a quarterback guru, and it feels like you're on the up and up. And then they're gonna send you to football hell. They make a deal to go get Matt Stafford, and they send you to, I mean, like the worst franchise in football in my lifetime. Like the Detroit Lions in my lifetime are up there. I mean, take away the past 3 years, they are the worst franchise in football. It's like the Lions and the Browns and maybe the Jets. So, and no, not even the Jets. It's probably the Lions and Browns, maybe like the Dolphins. So he goes to football hell in Detroit. Okay. Loses Sean McVay, who's one of the best, if not the best coach in football. Goes to a team that is reeling. That is awful. Then he watches Matt Stafford win the Super Bowl with his team, and just quietly, Dan Campbell and Jared Goff just keep doing the right things. They keep winning football games. You can say they shouldn't have taken Jahmyr Gibbs where they took him. Fine. Doesn't really matter to me because the guy's a dog. Their 1-2 punch is ridiculous. Amon-Ra St. Brown, late round, a late receiver pick, looks at every receiver, list of every receiver that was taken over him before every game, doing all the right things, playing such good football. Jameson Williams, on PEDs, but 2 game suspension for him. But he's been a dog this year. Tim Patrick steps up. The guy's 45 years old, and the Lions are just doing everything right. And that's just on the offensive side of the ball. Aiden Hutchinson was the sack leader. He was going to be the defensive player of the year, and he goes out, gets hurt. All right. How about Brian Branch? He steps up. He's got like a billion turnovers, a billion pass breakups this year. He's been perfect. The fact that that dude was a second round pick is a joke. Every team that passed on him has to be absolutely kicking themselves. And for the Vikings, almost won this game. Like to hang in this game, to be as good as the Vikings are, massively ahead of schedule, like no doubt massively ahead of schedule in what was, what a lot of people thought was going to be a rebuild. You're 5-1. And Justin Jefferson is still the best receiver in football, and it's not close. Sam Darnold's playing good football. The blitz packages are did not work against Jared Goff, but they've worked against everybody else. And the Vikings are still really good. This felt like, winner of this game goes to the Super Bowl type of air in this game. I think both these teams are so for real. And I think the Packers are for real. So the NFC North is loaded. And the Bears are not even bad. Like the Bears are quite good, actually. They probably won't make the playoffs just because they have to play those 3 teams twice, but the Bears are good, and they're ahead of schedule too. Want to talk about a team that's not ahead of schedule? Eagles 28, New York Football poverty embarrassing Giants 3. Letting go of Saquon was easily, in my lifetime as a New York Giants fan, the worst decision that has been made in the management of this team. It was not close. The only thing that compares and this is stupid, is when they benched Eli Manning for Geno Smith to break Eli Manning's consecutive start record that he had, just because they weren't playing well, but like Geno Smith was no better. But that aside, and maybe drafting Daniel Jones, honestly, just because he looked a little bit like Eli Manning. Letting Saquon go was a massive, massive error. And that cannot be blamed on Dayball. It's all on Schoen. And you watch Hard Knocks and you can see it. And John Mara is Mr. John Mara is talking to him and saying, if Saquon goes to the Eagles, I'm going to be deeply hurt. Well, in an effort to save $2 or $3 million so we could sign, I don't know, somebody shitty, we let the best player on the football field walk. The best player on our franchise by far gets to walk. Okay, that's too bad. Hopefully he doesn't go to a division rival. No, he goes to the Eagles. You play them twice a year. And he comes to your place and he runs for 176 yards easily. I mean, he broke run after run after run. And what's crazy is, and Jalen Hurts was 10 for 14 passing for 100 yards. Like, we're just so bad, dude. We're so bad. And Daniel Jones is so bad. He's terrible. You put in Drew Lock in the fourth quarter for a spark, and he's terrible. And there's no answer at quarterback. There's no answer at quarterback. And if you want to go to Tankathon, Tankathon NFL, you've got the Giants at 9. Okay? Giants at 9. Let's look above them at quarterback needy teams. Let's count the quarterback needy teams. I'm going to grab a water real quick, but we're going to get to quarterback needy teams. All right. New England does not need a quarterback. They're picking first. Carolina does. Cleveland does. Tennessee probably does. The Jets probably do. The Raiders definitely do. So that's 5 teams above you that are quarterback needy. Well, I got some bad news for you. There's 4 real quarterbacks in this draft, and we're going to get to college. I don't believe in Carson Beck or Quinn Ewers. So in my eyes, there's 2. And I think Shitter Sanders carries the risk of potential locker room cancerousness or, like destroying your franchise. Like that dude is not going to the Tennessee Titans. He won't do it, you know? So really it's probably just Cam Ward and he's going to go to the best team. And if you're the Giants, you're in a spot where you're just totally dead. There is no free agent that's going to come available. There's no you're not going to get a good enough draft pick because the defense is too good. And it's just a nightmare. It's just an absolute nightmare. And Daniel Jones is so bad. And he has a clause that if he gets hurt this year, that he makes 20 something million dollars next year. You have to bench him. You have to bench him. Start Tommy DeVito and, see what can happen, I guess, DeVito's meant to be a developmental guy. Let's see what he's turned into. Why not? Just pitiful. Just a pitiful, pitiful team. And I bet that we're gonna make the mistake and fire Dayball after this year. And Dayball is a good coach. He won Coach of the Year in 2022. He won a playoff game with Daniel Jones. In spite of Daniel Jones, not with Daniel Jones. He won a playoff game. I don't know. And the defense is so good. Dexter Lawrence should win Defensive Player of the Year. He leads the league in sacks. He also leads the league in getting double teamed. He's an absolute menace. Brian Burns is a menace. Kayvon Thibodeau is overrated, but he's like fine, I guess. And the Giants rookie class is good. So they're like the skeleton is there, and we know this. We've talked about this, but the quarterback position is the most important position in any sport that exists. If you don't have an answer at quarterback, you're dead. Well, I got news for you. We got no answer at quarterback this year. We're not in position to have an answer for quarterback next year. So what's the plan? I want to trade for Justin Fields is what I want to do. whether or not we can get him. I mean, give up a seventh rounder for Justin Fields, especially with what Pittsburgh did to the Jets last night. If they're going to go with Russ, let's go get Justin Fields. Right, like today. Today. Call him. Call whoever fucking owns the Steelers. Say, yo, Justin Fields, we'll give you a sixth. We'll give you a fifth. I don't care. Go get him. And he sucks too, but at least he's better than our shitty players. Rams 20, Raiders 15. The Raiders kicked a field goal down 8 points with 2 minutes left on the Rams 9 on fourth and goal on the 9 yard line. I mean, that's bad coaching 101. And Pierce is a interim coach who got promoted because the players said that they should promote him. It's an awfully run franchise. They need a quarterback too. Their defense might be too good to go get one. They're in a very similar spot to the Giants. Both the Raiders and Giants, at least Neighbors and Bowers are good. Nick Saban told Joe Schoen there are two guys that there are to worry about in the SEC, and it's Malik Neighbors and Brock Bowers are fucking problems. And he's right. Brock Bowers is awesome. Malik Neighbors is awesome. The problem for those two teams is they're a quarterback away, and they're not going to be able to get at least in my eyes, a quarterback that is going to be able to turn the franchise around. I think it's a weak quarterback class. And it just sucks to need a quarterback, and there's nothing in the quarterback class, and there's nothing in the free agent market. You're gonna have to trade for a guy. And who do you trade for? I mean, maybe you could convince the Chargers to sell Justin Herbert if they think that they can't win and they want to go into a rebuild, but I doubt it. Maybe you could convince the Jags to trade you Trevor Lawrence, but do you want to take on the most or the third most expensive contract in football? I don't know. Rams, this is a big win actually for the Rams. Uh, yes, it's the Raiders, but if Puka Nakua and Cooper Kupp come back next week, it's a really, really big win to get to 2-4 instead of 1-5. I mean, that's massive. And we talked about the NFC West. The Seahawks lead it at 4-3, and the Seahawks are bad. I mean, they're like not that good. Um, and the Niners are reeling. So you could totally win this division still. Like it's absolutely anyone's division. Even the Cardinals, they just won a game. Um, Anybody can win that division. And you've got Matt Stafford, who I still think is a top five quarterback, and two, top 15 weapons in Cooper Kupp and Puka. And Kyron's still awesome. Totally, totally could make a run for the Rams. I think they could get hot. Now let's look at their schedule and let's see if we're just lying here. Vikings, that's a scary game. Seahawks, Dolphins, Patriots, Eagles, Saints. I mean, you could definitely win at least a few of those games. And with Jets, Cardinals, Seahawks. I mean, I don't know. They're probably not a playoff team, the Rams, but they might be able to sneak in. They might be able to. Getting those guys healthy is such a big deal. I mean, we saw what they did against the Lions, the Rams, week one, with just like half of the game. Puka went down like immediately, and then Cooper Kupp just just ate. I mean, they almost beat the Lions. So we know what the Rams are capable of when they have their weapons. It's a totally different team. Do not write this team off. Commanders 40, Panthers 7. Jaden Daniels leaves with a rib injury. He should be okay. He probably will play next week. If not, he'll play the week after. Hopefully he does because seeing Caleb and Jaden in the same game against each other next week will be really interesting. But this game's just not really about the Commanders at all. You ran it up on the Panthers. Congratulations. To me, it's just the Panthers. It's just despair. The good news for them is that at least they've only won one game, and maybe they can stay in position to take somebody. Right now, they've got the best. They pick second right now, and that's under New England, who does not need a quarterback because Drake May is that dude. So if they want to take Travis Hunter, then you get your pick of the quarterbacks, and you better not miss this time. Uh, Otherwise, your franchise is just going to continue to stay in poverty. That being said, it's not like Andy Dalton and Bryce Young. I mean, they're surrounded by not that good of talent. Deontay Johnson's been all right. I like Jatavion Sanders, the rookie tight end out of Texas. I think he's going to be good, and maybe Jonathan Brooks out of Texas will be good too if we can get him healthy and going. But I mean, there's just a bad defense, a bad offense, and a team that's quit. Um, you should probably just start playing Bryce Young, I guess, um, in case he magically gets good. I mean, I might as well try, right? Like, there's just nothing for the Panthers. There's really nothing. There continues to be just nothing, and that sucks. It feels like the bad teams in the NFL are just really really bad. Um, the Panthers, the Browns, the Giants, the Raiders, the Dolphins without Tua, the Titans, the Patriots, and usually the Jaguars are just awful. The Jets are awful. Um, and it kind of sucks when half the games are just going to be a decent team whomping an awful team, you know? It sucks. Anyway, Chiefs 28, Niners 18. Did you fall for the 49ers being a favorite over Patrick Mahomes? Patrick Mahomes is an underdog. Did you fall for that and pick the Niners? Because I did, and I'm a fucking idiot because the Chiefs are just better. I've how many times are we gonna have to watch the Chiefs play the Niners and beat them to learn this lesson? They're clearly better. And this 4 o'clock slate was so awful, so boring. Um, and the Chiefs just manhandled the Niners. They were playing with their food. The Niners, Brock Purdy is when you ask Brock Purdy to be Patrick Mahomes, that's a problem. He's not Patrick Mahomes. He's going to run the system and do a decent job of it, but I mean, you can't ask Brock Purdy to go out there and be Superman. That's not who he is, you know? Um and the Chiefs are good. Chiefs are really good. I mean, you can hurt all their players on offense at least. Their defense is just so good. And Patrick Mahomes is playing bad football. And it doesn't matter because he makes the big plays when it counts. And the Chiefs just keep winning. They're 6-0. Um, some stat I saw, uh, Patrick Mahomes is now joins Peyton Manning as the only two quarterbacks to lead their team to 6-0 despite having more interceptions than touchdowns. And I think that goes to show how good those guys are in the big moments and how good their defenses were and how good the Chiefs defense is today. Um, and the Chiefs are just awesome. They really are just so good, and we just need to prepare ourselves because it's probably going to happen again. They might not lose a game. If they can play like this and win, they just might not lose a game. All right, Sunday Night Football. Devontae Adams finally makes his way to the Jets. We've been talking about it for so long. When's it going to happen? When's it going to happen? Finally, it happens. And they take a 15-3 lead or 15-6 or whatever it was. And it was like, all right, these Jets, they figured it out. Breece Hall was awesome in the first half. And it was like, all right, the Jets, they figured it out. Not so fast, as Lee Corso would say. The Steelers just absolutely demolished them in the second half. Russell Wilson in the first quarter was getting booed. It cut to a fan going, the if you're just a listener, the hand across the neck, like he ain't the guy. Um, Getting booed, threw a screen pass behind the guy by 5 yards and into the dirt short by 5 yards. I mean, just like he looked terrible. And it was like, okay, clearly this is Justin Fields' team. Let's get this guy out and let's roll with Justin and see what we can do. And then Russell Wilson started playing good football. I mean that the moon ball that he's been known for forever. He would throw it high up and in a way that give George Pickens a chance to come down with it. And one thing about George Pickens is you throw a ball up, he's got a pretty good shot at coming down with it. He's a guy that you should trust to come down with it more often than not in a 50-50 ball. Um, and yeah, I mean Russell Wilson looked good. Should he be the quarterback for that team? I don't know. I mean, I think the Jets defense is bad. I think that they kind of ran it up on him, but Russell might be the better option, and I'm surprised that I'm saying that because I genuinely thought that Fields was the better option. I still think he is, but let's look at who do they have next. Here's the thing though. They're going to go Russell Wilson against the Giants, and they're going to win that game easily, I should add. And then the big test is the Commanders. And the Commanders have a pretty bad defense, so Russell Wilson might score a bunch of points against them, and they might lose that game. I would expect they would, but when does the moment come that it breaks and they're like, let's go back to Justin? Like against the Ravens, maybe. Like if they lose to the Ravens and then somehow can't get it going against the Browns, Myles Garrett sacks him a couple times. Like maybe then they find it. But I think Russell Wilson might just be the guy there. And even though I like Justin better, um, he might not be the guy. It might be Russell, and I'm surprised by that. That's the NFL. Let's go to college, where I'm sad that we have to talk about it. Um, all right, let's just start with the big one. Let's start with the big one, and then we'll do the rest. Georgia 30, Texas 15. Um, First off, the quarterback play in this game as a whole was absolutely awful. Carson Beck comes out and throws two picks and looks like the worst quarterback on the planet, and Texas can't capitalize. And Quinn Ewers throws three picks and a fumble and gets sacked 100 times. Texas offensive line, who's supposed to be the best offensive line in the country, they've been playing together for 3 years, gets just gashed all night long by the Georgia defensive ends. And that we sub in Arch Manning, no better. It turns out it doesn't like you could put basically anybody back there, and with 0 seconds to throw the ball, it's going to be difficult. There's the pass interference call, which was a terrible call that should never have been called, and then kids throw 80 beer cans onto the field, and somehow the call gets overturned, and this game was just a total mess, a total shit show, and Georgia was better. Georgia was absolutely better all night long. Well, what we were talking about with Georgia for the first 6 weeks of the season is where's the run game? There's no run game, and that's not letting them lean on inferior teams. Like in the Kentucky game, Kentucky held them close because there was no run game. They're just trying to have Beck be a hero, which he's not. That dude stinks. And uh, in this game, Trevor Etienne just gashed us all night long. Absolutely gashed us. And the run game was good. Texas's run game was non-existent. Um, the pass game was non-existent, so there was no push for run plays, no protection for pass plays. And when Quinn Ewers did have time, he was behind, he was late, he was bad. He was downright bad. And Texas got embarrassed. Texas got embarrassed at home. You had all the hype, you had probably the better team pound for pound. Like you probably still have the better roster, and to no avail. You just get embarrassed. The offensive line has to play better. And they played better in the third quarter, and Texas started scoring some points, but it's too little, too late. And I've seen this against Washington now. I saw it against Oklahoma last year in the Red River, Washington last year, and against Georgia this year. In our losses, it's a very similar formula. It's soft against the run. Offense takes too long to get going, and then too little, too late. And yeah, I mean, we just got embarrassed. Got embarrassed by Georgia, who was better. That being said, there's a few things. One, the season's absolutely not over. This should light a fire. I think Texas should not lose another game in the regular season. Should still make the SEC championship, where we should see Georgia again. And hopefully we're ready. I mean, ultimately, that's what it comes down to. No overlooking opponents. Tough road game against Vanderbilt. We saw what they can do against a team like Alabama. I mean, got to go boat race them. Got to go beat them by 40 and look like the best team in the country while we do it. Um, and then just keep winning. Just keep winning games. Is all you can do. Keep winning games. Prepare better. Offensive line block better, and you. There's a 4th and 5 where Quinn Ewers has decided before the ball is snapped that he's going to throw it to Isaiah Bond on a slant route. Isaiah Bond is blanketed by the cornerback, and he throws it to he throws it right at him. Pass breakup, turnover on downs. Like a game losing turnover on downs. Totally flips the game, you know? Um, when you have a guy open over the middle and you just decided before the play. You know who else does a lot of deciding before the play is Daniel Jones. Tennessee 24, Alabama 17. This is a nice win for Tennessee. It's a really nice win for Tennessee. Um, I don't think Alabama's that good, to be frank with you. I don't think either of these teams are that good. But Nico finally figured it out in the second half of this game, I guess. Um, Really, it was just the running back Sampson for Tennessee was so good in this game. The Alabama defense continues to be soft against the run, and Tennessee found a way. Credit to Tennessee. They found a way to beat Alabama, who I don't think is that good. Um, 24-17. And it's actually, I saw a lot of people who are making predictions for this game saying, Alabama's probably going to score somewhere between 20 and 27 points. So if Tennessee can somehow find a way to get between, 24 and 30, they'll be live in this game. They'll have a real chance. I thought it was not going to happen. Strength against strength in the Tennessee defense against the Alabama offense, weakness against weakness, Tennessee offense, Alabama defense. And Tennessee finds a way to get it done. Jalen Milroe, 20 incompletions in this game, had moments where he just looked terrible. Um, I don't trust any of the quarterbacks in this draft class. Do you trust Jalen Milroe? No, absolutely not. I don't at all. And Tennessee, that's a nice win. I mean, that's a really nice win, and it helps them in the AP poll. Uh, Only one loss in the SEC. Everything's in front of you. I mean, there's so many one-loss teams in the SEC who have everything in front of them, and that's really fun. This Georgia game, that decides who goes to the SEC championship of those two teams, given they win out the rest of their games. That's fun. And a lot of people in the college football scene, a lot of the talking heads, unlike me because I know ball, said that the 12-team playoff means the regular season doesn't matter. No, it doesn't. Every single one or two loss SEC game between Georgia, Ole Miss, Tennessee, Alabama, Texas A&M, LSU, Texas, I mean, there's like 7 teams at the top of the SEC, and you have to win every game. Every game is must win. And these teams play each other. There's elimination games in October, in November. November is going to be crazy. It's going to be so much fun. And the people who are losers and lamos who thought that this was a bad idea because it makes Ohio State, Michigan not a playoff game. Last year, Ohio State and Michigan both should have been playoff teams. Last year, Oregon and Washington both should have been playoff teams. Texas, Georgia, Alabama, Washington, Michigan, Ohio State. Am I missing other teams? Did I say Oregon? 12-team playoff would have been great last year. And so many elimination games, so many big fun matchups that would have mattered more. It's fun. It's going to be really fun. November's going to be a blast. If you weren't a buyer yet, you should be a buyer now. If you're out on it, this is like your last chance to be like, okay, I was wrong. This 12-team playoff thing, it's going to be cool. Because in November, when it's a party, you're going to be late to the party. You don't want to be late to a party. Not fashionably late. Right now, you're fashionably late. Jump on right now. When the calendar hits November, you're just late, brother. This BYU Oklahoma State game was electric on Friday night. I stayed up till 1 a.m. watching this because I'm a sicko, I guess. Oklahoma State had this game, totally gagged it, just absolutely choked. I think BYU had got the ball back with like 40 seconds and had to go the entire length of the field to score a touchdown, down 4 to win this game, and they do it effortlessly because Oklahoma State is just ridiculously soft and terrible. I can't believe how bad this team is. I mean, so many people had them as like the Big 12 winner, getting the 4 seed in the college football playoff. And Ollie Gordon was finally good in this game, and it still didn't matter. Oklahoma State is just a joke, and BYU is good. Respect BYU. Really tough place to play. I mean, one of the toughest places to play in college football. You wouldn't know it if you don't watch BYU games, so you definitely wouldn't expect it. Um, I guess that's just all they have to do up there. If you're not going to drink, might as well go eat those gigantic like cinnamon bun things that they eat or whatever and have a good time. Miami 52, Louisville 45. This game was electric. Cam Ward, must watch always. Tyler Shugg, transfer from Texas Tech to Louisville. Also, like actually a pretty fun guy to watch, even though he's maybe not that good. Plays in a lot of high scoring, competitive, fun games. And Miami just finds a way to gut this one out. They keep finding a way to gut it out. But it's been fun, man. It's been a lot of fun watching Miami. I like Clemson better. I still like Clemson better. I'll keep saying it. I think Clemson's going to win the ACC, but it's been fun. Miami is a lot of fun, and Cam Ward is that dude. He should be the first quarterback off the board. Let's talk about a game I was so wrong about. Indiana 56, Nebraska 7. I thought Nebraska was going to win this game outright. So I got to go take a long look in the mirror, look at myself and say, what the hell are you thinking? This Indiana team is so real. And the coach, God, what's the coach's name? Kurt Signetti is his name. Um, his opening press conference says, I win, Google me. And then before the game, whatever sideline lady, Holly, not Holly Rowe, one of them though, is like, oh, Signetti, like, look at this atmosphere at Indiana. Can you believe it? He's like, that's what winning does. You want to put asses in seats, win football games. And he's 7-0. That's what they're doing. Indiana is real, guys. Indiana's real. I can't believe how real they are, but they're real. Missouri's not. 21-17 over Auburn. That's pathetic. Um, let's keep it going. Illinois 21, Michigan 7. Michigan sucks, guys. This team, I mean, what are we doing? This is like if Florida State wasn't as pitiful as Florida State is, we'd be talking about Michigan as the biggest disappointment in college football this year. They're embarrassing. They are so bad. And Jack Tuttle's not the answer. Alex Orgy's not the answer. Davis Warren's not the answer. I mean, maybe stealing science is the answer, frankly. They got nothing. No juice, nothing. And that Texas win, not aging well. Texas is yet to beat an opponent that is deserving of being ranked. Oklahoma and Michigan, frauds. Terrible. Terrible teams. Army and Navy keep winning, though. Shout out to Army and Navy. All right, and then lastly, last but not least at all, the reason, I mean, I just had an awful weekend, guys. My Giants, my Mets. Where do we go? Where is it? Here we go. So my Giants stink. My Texas Longhorns stink. My Mets on Friday will get a big win to send the series back to LA and have a chance. You've got Sean Manaea, who's been an absolute demon in this postseason, coming onto the mound, and he lets up 6 runs in the first inning, in the first 2 innings or whatever it was, and you just get punked by the Dodgers, and I just had a miserable weekend. That being said, it sets up, I mean, what is probably the best case for baseball in the World Series. I mean, I hate both of these teams, and I think a lot of people hate both of these teams, but they're the two best rosters in baseball, and it's not close. I mean, Shohei and Judge are the best two players in baseball, although Juan Soto might be on that level as well. Uh, and the Dodgers just they have an answer for everything. Their pitching is phenomenal. Their bullpen is phenomenal. Their bats are phenomenal. How about the Yankees? Same story. It's going to be fun. It sucks that it's going to be fun because I hate both of these teams so much, but it's going to be fun. And I'm just a loser, guys. And just my teams all suck, and it makes me so sad, especially this one. They suck so bad. The Giants. Maybe we'll get there. Maybe we'll lose enough games to get Cam Ward. That's going to conclude this Tuesday's episode of Desktop Ball. I will get this uploaded probably at like 6, 7 in the morning for your drive to work. I hope you enjoyed the show. Please, please, please like, comment, subscribe, send it to a friend. Tell me what you do and don't like about the show, the flow, the TikToks, whatever it is. Um, Tell me what you think, and I will be grateful to hear it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all on Friday. Goodbye.